Hi, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of the Sellerboard Show. My name is Vladi Gordon, and my today's guest is Shane Oglow. We're going to talk about branding. So Shane's company, PRReach, specializes on press releases. And this is a very interesting and efficient way to basically take care of the branding, to build your brand outside of Amazon and drive some traffic to Amazon or to your own site. So if you're serious into private label, then this is definitely something you should think about. And Shane mentioned that the ROI of branding through PR is 50 to 100 times. So this is definitely something that will pay off if you do it right. Stay tuned. Before we start, don't forget to press the like button and to subscribe to our channel. If you don't know what Sellerboard is yet, then check out our website, sellerboard.com. It's a profit analytics tool for Amazon sellers starting at $15 a month. And our vision is and was to build the most accurate profit analytics tool and to put as many useful tools in the package as possible without increasing the price. So we've got an autoresponder for follow-up emails. We've got an inventory monitor integrated. We've got a module which searches for products lost or damaged by Amazon so that you can try to get reimbursed. We've got an alerting system which monitors your listing and sends you an email if something was changed, for example, by a piggybacker or a hijacker. So check this out and let us know what you think. And now let's start the show. Hi, Shane. How are you doing?
Great. Thanks very much.
Thanks for joining us today. So, Shane, tell us about yourself.
Well, there's a lot to tell, but I'll give the condensed version because I know we don't have a lot of time. But in terms of the Amazon e-com space, been selling for quite a while. Sort of 2013 is when I started. I think along with that big initial first group that really got into private label was part of that. And just one thing led to another over the years. You have your successes, you have your failures, different brands. Myself, like a lot of people, got into related Amazon things. So maybe I wasn't always necessarily a seller, but then I got into supporting sellers in different ways. And a lot of people do that through podcasts or software or coaching or whatever they happen to be doing. So that's kind of where the path has taken me. I still do sell. Obviously with PRReach, my company, one of the things we do is a managed rebate service. And we do a lot of launches. So every week I'm launching different products. So, over the years, I've launched hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of products. So even though I'm kind of in between brands right now, personally, I was going to start a new one in the summer, but had some delays. So maybe we'll launch it in the new year. But it's so different now. It's so different from what it was 3, 4, 5 years ago. It's and we knew that would happen. I mean, the only constant is change in the entire online world, I suppose. And in another 5 years, I'm sure we'll be having a very different conversation about how Amazon works and launches and everything else.
So you've been a private label seller all the time, right? Or have you done wholesale or something like that? Arbitrage? Mm-hmm. Okay. And where?
No.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that it was really primarily our private label. I did dabble a little bit in drop shipping and a few different things. It wasn't really my cup of tea, and I recognize that some people have tremendous success doing it. I think most people struggle. And retail arbitrage was not something I was ever really that much into. Again, I had friends who did it and had a certain amount of success, but it wasn't really that scalable, at least from what I saw. So that's where I try to focus my areas where things are a bit more scalable.
Well, so where are you actually selling in the US or Europe?
Primarily, yeah. I mean, we've sold in Europe for years, but we just never had. Our focus was never really there, so it could have done a lot better or do a lot better, I suppose. But the U.S., it's always takes so much time, and if you want to expand, we expand there, and then move products over to Europe if they're successful. But I think that's another thing that I'm going to focus on too in the future, is focusing a little bit more on Europe. Because there's wonderful opportunities here, smaller markets, but you can do very, very well. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And I know the rules have changed a lot since I first opened my first European company, maybe in 2015 or so. So I have to get myself familiar with a lot of those new rules, especially with Brexit and VAT. There's a lot of changes coming down the pipeline. But fortunately, now, unlike when I first started, there's just a ton of data out there where you can get answers. I'll pick up the phone, I'll have the answer in 15 minutes. So it's not something I worry about. It's not like in the old days when it was you desperately were searching for people who know what the hell they're talking about, because it was still so new.
So Shane, looks like you've been around for quite a while on Amazon. Tell us, is it even worth it to try to enter the market in 2020? How did it change over time, and what's your current status like?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think a lot of people who are on the sideline, just sitting on the fence, or just discovered this, younger people, and now they're looking for new opportunities, and wondering, well, is it really worth it? And yes and no. If we have a discussion in 2025 or 2030 or something down the years, people would be going, oh man, I wish I could have gotten in back in 2020. So it's all a matter of perspective. It's just different. And as I said earlier, the only constant is change. The major difference, I think, between when guys like me got started, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, is you could launch a lot of, probably for about 2 or 3 years now, the typical search techniques taught by, the big courses are grossly outdated, where they're looking at BSR and reviews, and that's ridiculous. Now those should still factor in, but basing your product selection on things like that, I think is a complete mistake, and you're setting yourself up for a lot of grief. But you could launch back then. You could launch on a shoestring. You got 500 extra bucks, $1,000. Sure, why not launch a product? Now, I'm not saying that can't happen nowadays, but I think it would be pretty rare to have that happen and be successful, because you're going to hit that wall, as you try and expand a lot sooner. So the one thing you need now is to be more capitalized. I generally don't suggest someone start a new Amazon business unless they've got $10,000, maybe 5,000 at the low end. Because there's a lot of PPC, packet, there's just so many things. We don't need to get into it. You really need to have a bit of finance. You need to get that next order in before you run out of inventory. There's just a lot of reasons why that's a lot different now than it was back in the day when you could start on a shoestring.
So again, tell me, what does it mean for the product selection? Because is it, you mentioned BSR and reviews, and that they're not that important anymore, or at least not primary criterion? Because when I was a seller, it was also like 5, 6 years ago. These were only two things I looked at, basically, right? But I know it's kind of hard now because a lot of products have a lot of reviews. So how does this play a role, or what are the criteria now?
Yeah, I don't think I want to get too deep into that side, because that's something we could talk about for 5 hours, I'm sure. And I'm not going to give away sort of our tricks either. But I will say this is, I don't care anymore if the top product in a category has got 5,000 reviews. That used to disqualify people from going into that thing, which was a total mistake. Then again, that was the prevailing philosophy at the time. Kind of made sense because there was other blue ocean opportunities. Why go there? Now it's all about that product development is really the thing that you need to focus on for any type of longevity. Because if I'm, launching Me Too products that everyone else has, and my variation is it comes with its own carrying bag or something stupid, that's not diversifying. That's not making your product unique. It's a little gimmick that might last for a little while, but probably not. So product development is very important. The competitive advantage, intellectual property is very important. You want to set yourself up for long-term success, and to be acquired, for branding, which is what I think we're really going to talk about on this call, because if you can no longer rely on Amazon to be your number one source of revenue, or you shouldn't, because we've seen account suspensions this year like I've never seen before in my life. People's lives being ruined overnight. They got 36 employees. Well, sorry, no, that's it. Or it takes them weeks or months to get their account back for something they didn't do wrong, and that goes back to kind of a love-hate relationship we probably all have with Amazon. And it's so big, it's hard for it not to be that way. I mean, really. So, that's why it's important to set yourself up for success. If you can get intellectual property, if you can make things unique, if you can start branding, if you can start diversifying off of Amazon, build your own list, because as we know, you're an Amazon seller, that's not your customer, it's their customer. They don't even give you any data anymore. You can't market to those people. You can't do market research. You have no competitive advantage on Amazon unless you can do those things and really build a true brand.
So look, I think this is a good piece of advice, and for me, it sounds reasonable. And I think this strategy was always there, but as you said, like 5 years ago, you could get away with a Me Too product, but now it's just complicated. Yeah, thanks for that. Let's talk about branding and diversification. Actually, yeah. So, how do you build branding on Amazon, right? So when I was a seller, I had a brand, of course. Everybody kind of has every private label seller has a brand, right? But it was just a name on the product. It could be a different one. Nobody cares, right? So how do you do that if you actually start on Amazon?
Yeah, and that's the typical route, is people start on Amazon, and that's a great thing to do. You start because it's easier. It's not easy, but it's easier. The traffic is there. You just have to capture a portion of it, right? And away you go. At some point in your Amazon journey, maybe you're making 2,000 a month, 5,000, 50,000, 100,000, whatever that number is for you. You start to feel, okay, this is stable. This is good. Now I need to move off of Amazon. And the benefits are huge moving off of Amazon. You get a competitive advantage. You become a little bit more recession proof. You can charge higher prices. You'll have a higher conversion rate. You will you'll build a list. So you're going to increase your multiples when you go to sell your business. Like, there's just so many reasons. And as we see the A10 algorithm, the recent update, they took a lot of the weighting away from PPC sales and put it to off-site sales. Oh. So now we know that that's the primary, or one of the primary factors in ranking on Amazon. So you need to have that off Amazon sales come in. Now, we always knew this was the case. They just made it more important. And we always knew that high authority backlinks directly to the product detail page were important as well. That's why, and I think you had my partner Norm on in the past, talked about press releases. And when you do that, you are sending these high authority backlinks to your product detail page, and it does help in ranking and stickiness. But anyways, when we're talking about branding, your typical situation, you got a seller, they're starting to get some sales, they're feeling pretty confident. All right, cool. Now it's time to diversify. And this is where people usually fail. It's like, okay, I'm going to start a Shopify account. Okay, so they open up the Shopify store and nothing happens, because now you're responsible for your own traffic, and that's an entirely different game. And you need to know what you're doing. So what happens is you get 3, 4, 5, 6 sales in a month or something, and you're trying, you may be running some Facebook ads or whatever, and nothing's really happening too much. So you sheepishly go back to Amazon because that's where your bread and butter is. And I can't blame people for doing that. And the way to do that is to start ranking on Google, to start getting your name out there. And how do you do that? Well,
Shane, can I ask just one thing? So you're talking about building like a site, a Shopify store, right? And promoting a Shopify store, right? And you mentioned this A10 algorithm, where they now put a lot of weight on external links. So do these two things fit together, or is it a different
Yes.
thing? So how does this relate?
So if you start to sell off Amazon, or even just to, and I'm not even talking about starting a Shopify store right away if you don't want to. It's just about driving traffic from external sites. And that's what's going to help you rank better on Amazon. Eventually, once you start to build your off Amazon presence, then you can start to direct the traffic to your Shopify site or wherever you want. Like you can be building that Google presence and directing all the traffic back to Amazon, no problem. But you're starting to take control. You're starting to get your brand known, and you have to, in order to do that. And that's what our public relations and our media department does. It's all about starting to build a persona for your brand off of Amazon, because let's face it, 99.9% of sellers are just some nameless, faceless Amazon brand that nobody gives a crap about, nobody's ever heard about. It's probably just being driven by price, and that's it. So when you start to build this, what we typically do is we start off with what we call phase one, and we have a product called Brand Builder. And what that does is every month, it's like a monthly done for you content system. It goes out and it pushes all this content out through distribution networks and syndicates it. So, if I go to Google and I type in, green silicone spatula, I'll see your content there. It might be from a Yahoo article, it might be from a partner article, whatever. It's not going to be your direct, your Shopify page, your direct Amazon, direct to Amazon URL, not right away. It will eventually start to raise those up, but getting page one exposure, so people start to see your brand name, start to build it, start to get some Google love, and it will start to drive some traffic to your Amazon listing. Then the next phase, and not everybody does it in phases, but that's like the normal way for a growing seller, is then we add on things like public relations and earned media. And what that is we really develop your brand story, because it all comes down to the brand story. If you're selling a green silicone spatula, there better be a compelling reason why your green silicone spatula is better than everyone else's. And so that's what we do, is we develop that corporate profile, the brand story, and we start to get placements in magazines, websites, gift guides, interviews, radio, TV. Like there's literally no media outlet in the United States that we don't have a personal contact with. So if you want to be in Forbes or Inc., or you want to be in Martha Stewart magazine or whatever, that's what we do. We start to work on getting these, and that high traffic, high authority, driving back to either your Amazon page or your Shopify, so you can start building your own list. That's the entire intention. And
so at which point should I get my own website or my own store? Is there like a good point for that, or
that's a really good question, and I think that comes up a lot. It really depends, but a lot of people are perfectly happy to start building their off Amazon presence and just drive all the traffic back to Amazon for a while, or give shoppers the choice. There's nothing wrong with starting to do that, because you will start to get that Amazon love, and it's going to start to build up. So all those links can just go to Amazon. Eventually, then you want to start your Shopify store. And it's just whenever you're ready as a brand owner, maybe money's tighter, maybe you just don't have the resources to do a Shopify. Okay, fine, wait 3 months. I wouldn't let it go too long, because as you start to get these high traffic, high authority placements and start to get all this love online, you want to start to build your own list. The magic has always been in the list and always will be in the list, because now you can do your own market research. Now you can do launches to your own people, and they're actual customers. They're not people who got something at 100% discount. They're actual customers, and that accounts for a lot. And you start really building. You become an authority in your niche. You start to become a known brand. First, I would say start your site as soon as you can. But you don't have to start driving heavy traffic to it right away. Get it looking good. It's got to be decent. And of course, once you have your own site, you can give shoppers the option. Do you want to buy it on Amazon? You want to buy it here? You can put a nice funnel in if they buy it there. Maybe they get a free gift. Maybe they get a 2-for-1. I mean, who knows, right? You can do all kinds of things on your own site that you can't do on Amazon. But even if you're sending to Amazon, there's also ways you can grab their email address before you send them off to Amazon. So you just need to start to utilize that. Yeah. But these things, this takes time. Building a brand takes time. You have to have a long-term time horizon. So we're only working with people who are serious. If they're planning on just dabbling and fooling around, well, it's probably not for you. But if you want to build a real brand and you've got, a 5-year exit plan and you want to sell your business for 10 million or whatever your number happens to be, well, that's where we come in and we help start building that brand and your reputation. And the other thing I was going to mention, Len, was once you get a PRP, so we get into a gift guide or let's say you got your silicone spatula into Martha Stewart Living magazine or something, great. Well, that stays there forever. Then what we want to do is we squeeze every drop of juice out of that. So we're doing press releases on it. We've got blogs on your site linking to it, ads, as seen or Martha Stewart's favorite or whatever it happens to be. We just squeeze every drop of juice out of that because that thing stays there forever. And again, it just keeps continually building your brand. And Amazon sellers, 99% of Amazon sellers don't even know what the hell public relations and earned media is, or how to leverage it. It's this huge blue ocean for people who are willing to take advantage of it. And the whole point behind all this, let's just say you're just selling on Amazon, you're thinking, I need to diversify. Cool. This is how you do it. You start to build a little bit of Google love first, then you start to get these high authority placements, you start to get known, and it makes it a lot easier for them to expand off of Amazon. So you set up a Walmart or eBay or your other marketplaces, or you're going into physical retail, or whatever the case may be, you're carrying that brand weight with you. It's not this boom, here we are, nobody's ever heard of us. Well, you've already got a following, you've already got some authority being built in your niche, and it just makes expansion so much easier when you got some brand weight and authority behind you.
Suppose you have a good product on Amazon, you're doing good, you have a brand, right? You guys can jump in and create a media presence all over the place. And these are not like classic placements like Facebook or Google ads, but it's rather magazines and PR. That's very interesting because I think very few sellers are actually making use of this.
Yep.
And in the next step, we launch a Shopify store and we direct links to the store, and we're starting to become a brand. But tell me, this PR, does it generate sales, right? I mean, is it more for branding or like for SEO, right? Or does it really generate sales?
Yeah, that's a great question. The funny thing is so remember when I said that we got this, usually we start off with a brand builder phase. So that's, all this content every month to get you seen, to get things up. It will drive some traffic. Its primary purpose is not to drive sales. It will, but it's starting to get your brand known. You're starting to show up in search results. It will drive traffic. It will increase sales. But the primary purpose of it is to just start to build exposure and authority. Public relations, the ROI is insane. It's usually 50 to 100 times ROI. The thing is, so when we went out to start this, we hired a public relations team that had their own agency, and they'd been operating as an agency for about 17, 18 years, but they had over 20 years experience. So we brought them right into our fold. And when we went through all the client portfolio, the average retention rate, so the average customer stays with our team 7 to 9 years. Because the ROI is effing insane. Our job is to keep you at the top of the news cycle and the top of the media cycle. So if you've got a brand and you've got your silicone spatula and you're looking over there at the silicone spatula like Oglow or D'Oro or Wilton or whatever their name is, they're always, if you do any kind of a search on Google for any of those keywords, you're going to see videos, you're going to see article places, you're going to see the Rob report, you're going to see all these things. It's because they've got a PR team. They're constantly in people's face. And that's what you're like, well, how do they get into this gift guide? How do they get into this magazine? Holy shit, what's going on? That's why they got a PR professional working for them. And as you said, 99% of Amazon sellers don't even know this exists. And a big reason for that, I think, is that because most Amazon sellers are first-time business owners.
Mm-hmm.
They really are. They didn't come from a physical space where they had to compete and fight and do advertising and do all kinds of things. It's all new for them. So a lot of people just don't even know that earned media exists. So that's what we do. And yes, the returns are really good, typically 50 to 100 times. But here's the other thing, is it takes a little while to get that flywheel going. So let's say you come to me and you're like, Shane, I want to promote my company. I sell services to Amazon sellers. Okay, great. We build up your media.
That's exactly what I'm thinking about.
Yeah. So what we do is we take your story. Okay, who is this guy? What's he done? Where is he? What's his story? What services does he have? And we build a media list, hundreds. Okay. And when we say, hey, what's your dream list? You want to be an entrepreneur, Forbes, Inc. If those are appropriate for what we're doing. Okay, great. And we get to work on those, and we guarantee placements every single month, which very few other agencies will do. In fact, I don't even know of any, but we do.
Shane, but will you also create the content? Like, for example,
yes.
if I sell jump ropes, right? And I'm like, okay, what can I write about jump ropes? I just don't have an idea,
Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah, and all we do basically is we pitch to our contacts. So you want to be a men's fitness magazine, you see those jump ropes or something. We're pitching to our contacts at all these media outlets. So where was I going with that? There was I was going to say that it takes a little while to get that flywheel spinning. So you give me your dream list, Forbes, Inc., Men's Health, Martha Stewart, whatever it happens to be, what's appropriate for your product. Okay, we'll get started on those, but it takes a while to spin. If it's a magazine, they're usually 6 months ahead in print. So they'll be, hey, this sounds great. We'll get them in for the first week of April. Okay, cool. So it takes a while to get that flywheel spinning. Now, digital mediums are a lot easier. They have a short timeline, maybe 3 months, or sometimes things come up really quickly. We'll get calls all the time from all kinds of different media outlets across the spectrum saying, hey, we've got a placement that just opened for this. We need it like by next Friday. Can you give us something? We'll go through our client portfolio and say, this is perfect. And we'll get them placed. So it takes, 1, 2, 3 months to really start picking up speed. Now we can get you smaller placements until then. Every single month we're going to get you placements, but those big placements we have to work on. We have to work with their timelines. So yeah, that's the one thing, is it does take a little bit of time to get going, but once it kicks into gear, it's just constant.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. So look, I think I definitely I knew about PRs and public relations and these press releases and stuff, but actually I didn't think about it this way. So I've learned something new today. So Shane, tell us a little bit about your company. How big are you, and how can our listeners find you?
Yeah, so PRReach, we're actually the world's first video press release company back in the day. We've changed more into I would call it more of a media communications company, vertically integrated media and communications. Because both my partner and I, Norm, come from a heavy Amazon space, we do cater and tailor things to an Amazon crowd, as well as other people and businesses. So we have all different types of press releases with different distribution levels, depending on what they're to be used for. And a lot of people don't think about press releases too much, or don't really understand how they work. So we have different levels depending on what people's needs are. And we do content, we do syndication. So let's say you write a blog, or you want a blog written for your website. Well, that's great. And we all know that content is the way to go. It just takes a long time to get going on the content side. You have to put out a lot of really high quality content, and over 1, 2, 3, 4 years, you will start to rank really well on Google. We know that that's what Google wants. We can speed up that process. We syndicate. So we'll send that out to 400 or 500 different high-end sites, all those backlinks coming to your blog, and then it'll get your blog in front of a lot of eyeballs every single month and help it rank a lot faster. We have other little tricks we do to rank content faster. So there's that. We have Amazon managed launches, a unique managed rebate service we have. where we can blend in a lot of social signals. It's very, very powerful, especially now, right before Black Friday and Cyber Monday. If people are needing to get their keywords ranked up before then, I mean, this is your last chance, right? But what we do is pretty unique. The way we manage rebates, and again, we blend in social signals, so there's no footprint, and that's our thing, is we don't want to leave a footprint. We have the public relations and earned media side, which we've just discussed. We've got Brand Builder, which is like a SERP, monthly done for you SERP tool to get your brand page one Google is our goal. And again, it won't be your website we're gonna rank, but within 72 hours we'll probably get you ranked for most of your keywords at the top of Google. Like I said, it might be a Yahoo article, it might be a different, but it'll be
but still you're gonna like you're basically, I give you a keyword, and the goal is that a user types in that keyword and sees my brand on the first page somewhere.
Somehow, some way. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah. So we do a lot of cool things, a lot of different things, and it might seem a bit scattered, but realistically, they're all holistically interrelated. They all tie into each other in one way or another. And not everyone has to do everything. It's not necessary. Some people do. Some people are just they've got specific goals, and we just help them get that specific goal, whether it's Amazon, whether it's just e-com. You name it. So that's what we do.
Very cool. So we'll put the link in the description, but can you name it just for those who listen to this in audio? How do you spell it?
Like my PRReach? Yeah, yes. PRReach.com. So like
very easy.
Relations Reach. Yeah, it's 2 R's there, PRReach. A lot of people call it Preach, but it's not Preach, because then they think we're some kind of a religious outfit. We're not. But it's PRReach. Yeah, and if you want to reach me, it's just shane@prreach.com, and I'm happy to chat with anybody about branding and ranking on Amazon and all that fun stuff.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Shane.
You're welcome, Vlad. My pleasure.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you liked it. If so, then don't forget to press the like button and subscribe to our channel. We're bringing those videos regularly for you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.